Gonna light up red, it does
Are
take
you
a
guys,
second.
you guys ready to start?
Okay.
I don't think so.
Sydney and Maddie, are you ready to start? Do you have, is Zoom working and?
Zoom is working. And we're gonna.
We need, and whatever the, where do the e-comments come in from?
E-comments, okay.
Like reading material for?
It's a very interesting choice. You know what, I bet you this week they were talking about this with the city council.
Probably.
Yeah? I need a big yes if you're ready. Okay, they said they're ready, Steve.
Okay, all right, this is the City of Redondo Beach, regular meeting of the Historical Commission, Wednesday, January 17th, 2024. Can we have somebody with roll call, please?
Yes, Chairperson Collin,
Here.
Commissioner Coda is absent. Commissioner Fernandez,
Here.
Commissioner Gorbin,
Here.
Commissioner Hardy,
Here.
Commissioner Stumphauser,
Here.
Commissioner Vorstadt.
Here.
Okay, you have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Let's get to item C, which is salute to the flag. And I'll start. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item D is approving the order of the agenda. Mr. Margolis, do you need a motion for approval of the order of the agenda? Okay, is there a motion to approve the order of agenda?
So motioned.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, so ordered. Let's see, item E, blue folder items, additional backup materials. Mr. Margolis, are there any blue folder items?
There's a blue folder item for your discussion item. So you can take that up when you, so that's what, L1, I think?
Okay,
No, J1. So
okay,
you can take that up when you get there.
okay. And item F, this is a consent calendar. Business items, except those formally noticed for public hearing or discussion, are assigned to the consent calendar. Commission members may request that any consent calendar item be removed, discussed, and acted upon separately. Items removed from the consent calendar will be taken up under the excluded consent calendar section below. And those items remaining on the consent calendar will be approved in one motion following oral communications. Item F1, that is approval of the minutes of December 20th, 2023. And F2 is affidavit of posting. And anything else, Mr. Margolis?
No, that's the entire consent calendar. So if no one wants to pull any of those items, then you could ask for a motion to approve the consent calendar as is.
Okay, are there any members who want to pull any items from the consent calendar? Okay, hearing no objections, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar items?
Motion to approve the consent.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any objections? Okay, hearing none, it's so ordered. Okay, excluded consent calendar items, there are none. Item H, this is public participation on non-agenda items. This section is intended to provide members of the public with the opportunity to comment on any subject that does not appear on this agenda for action. This section is limited to 30 minutes, and each speaker will be afforded 3 minutes to address the commission. Each speaker will be permitted to speak only once. Written requests, if any, will be considered first under this section. Are there any written requests, Mr. Margolis? Or
Mr. Chairman, before we begin the public participation, may I introduce our two new support staff who are helping us today?
Okay,
So we have Maddie Fan and Sydney Sanderson, and both of them are also working as docents at the museum. So I want to thank them for their extra work here tonight, and we're looking forward to having them assist both this commission and the Public Art Commission forever and ever and ever. Amen.
okay. Are we going to get Alex here sometime, or is he not, not?
Well, they're commissioners.
Oh,
Oh, you mean Alex Vogel?
yes.
I don't know. Yeah, he had the opportunity and didn't get back. So,
Okay.
But yeah, I'll tell him you'd like to at least have him come to a meeting and draw pictures for you.
Okay, sounds good.
So the question was, do you have any non-agenda requests for non-agenda public comments on Zoom or e-comments?
Yeah, no comments in the Zoom or e-comments at this time.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the commission on any items that do not appear on the agenda? It appears not. Okay. Item.
Everyone in the crowd has refrained.
Right. Item I, this is items continued from previous agendas, and I don't think we have any, do we?
No, sir.
All right. J, item J, and this is items for discussion prior to action. J1, discussion and possible action related to strategies for increasing attendance at the Redondo Beach Historical Museum. Okay.
Okay, so if you'll remember at the last commission meeting, you asked to put a couple of things on the agenda. Rather than make them separate items, I grouped them together because it seemed to me that they had a logical grouping, and that was that a lot of the issues that have been brought up, whether it's the trellises or the painting or the fountain or painting inside or even the audio tours, which we talked about last year, all of those are, as I see them, and feel free to disagree with me, are strategies to increase attendance at the museum. And so what I would like you to also consider is how much effort and money do you want to put into the changing the signs? What was the other one that you had? It was changing the signs and
The maps?
the maps and the trellises, right?
Right.
Those were yours, yeah.
And the fence?
And yeah. So,
Painting the
right,
fence.
so there are lots of things that you've identified that would make Heritage Court more attractive, make the museum more attractive, and ultimately, if something's more attractive, that's probably a good strategy to attract people. What I would like you to consider, as you're considering strategies to attract people, is do we have a product that we're ready to attract thousands and thousands and millions of people to? So the way that I identify success is once someone comes to the museum, will they walk out the door and say, this is my favorite museum in the world, I have to come back and I have to bring everybody I know. I think that, so my recommendation is that before we spend a lot of time and money on the strategies to increase attendance, let's make sure that the product, right, the exhibits and the experience inside the museum is one that's worth that investment of time and money. So to that end, in the administrative report, I think I made a couple of recommendations. And if you can pull this up just so that folks at home can see. Maybe I can, let's see, can I make this bigger? How do I make it bigger? Control, oh,
It's page 12 of the packet, administrative report, page 1 of 5.
that's good. So, yeah, so, oh, and in addition, right, in fact, we just got an email today about the mid-year budget request. So this would be the perfect opportunity for you to also generate your ideas for things that, purchases, right? Things that you'd like to see added to the budget. And then those will be given to the Director of Community Services. And then he'll work with the city manager to decide, what they can take to city council and what they can't. But this would be, the meeting to do that. So that's the first recommendation. And then I'm recommending you might come up with a better way to handle this, but what my thoughts were, 2 committees that would work on the ideas that I just talked about. One I'm calling a visitor experience committee, and that committee would have the mission to create a historical museum that offers its visitors innovative, interactive, exciting, educational, and entertaining experiences, so much so that it becomes a place people want to visit over and over again. And then I describe a possible composition, which you're free to discuss and come up with your ideas for that. And then the other would be, once you've accomplished some of that, right, then a marketing committee. Now, and the mission for that is to set the vision for and manage the overall marketing strategy of the Redondo Beach Historical Museum and ensure that it is in alignment with the city's strategic plan and other relevant documents. I know that a lot of the commissions at the city seem to not like to work in committees. They only like to come, to the meetings and do their work here. The advantage of having some committees is that when a committee brings a proposal forward to the full commission, it's like a motion that comes to you. It's already been made and seconded, and you can start discussing it immediately. So you cut out a lot of the discussion that would happen here. You can make your commission meetings shorter by putting in a little bit of time ahead of time and bringing something that's well thought out and already approved by at least 2 of you. So that's my thought. I know a lot of people don't agree with that. They think all the work should be done right here. I don't agree. I think, and a lot of the other places I've worked don't do it that way either, but that's up to you to decide. So unless you have any questions, I'm finished with my presentation on this item, and go for it.
All right, so Gary, I know that when we have had these events at the museum, some of us will post the event on our own Facebook pages, or by word of mouth. We'll let people know what's going to happen, like the Halloween event, the Santa event, and the birthday celebration. Does the city have an email list that it uses to communicate with residents whenever there's an event that's going to be, held? Where maybe we might, if it does exist, we might be able to take advantage of that and use it,
So
advertise?
as far as I know, the city does not have that. I mean, but they could. But each individual council member, I know, has a list, because when they do their community meetings, their council district meetings, they're able to identify the residents that live in their district, and they send out those announcements. So theoretically, if you put those 5 lists together, I think there would be a comprehensive city list. Now, so it would seem to me that the easiest thing to do would be to make sure that you're all communicating with your city council assigning it to Tanya or Xander or one of the other docents at the museum to do when they don't even have computers yet.
Okay. All right.
And you got the document I sent you for our brainstorming session?
I couldn't open it.
Okay.
And then I requested permission.
Yeah, and I gave you access, sorry.
It said access denied.
Well, you should have told me. You should have told me that, I could have found it.
Yes,
Was
if
it a
I
Google
had had the
document?
time, I would have told you, yeah.
Was it a Google Drive, document?
Yeah, it's a Google Drive document.
I've had similar problems where it'll only grant access to people who have a Google account. So if that was Gary's city email, it may not properly process the access.
Okay. I'm trying to think, though, have you ever been able to access anything else that we've?
And the only thing I possibly accessed, Maddie, when you sent the scavenger hunt for Halloween, was that in a?
That was a Google Drive.
How did you send that to me?
That
Do you
wasn't-
remember?
That wasn't like locked to certain people.
Yeah, but it's funny because when I looked at permissions, it said you had permissions when I looked at the,
Okay, well, we can work that out.
Yeah.
But if there's something you want to say about that now, go ahead.
yeah, and I don't have it in front of me, I like all of the details because there's a lot of details, but all the docents sat down last Wednesday and we brainstormed some of the revitalization things that we thought of for bringing people to the museum, both permanent and rotating exhibits. And I could get into all the details, but I don't have it in front of me. It would be a pretty lengthy process, but they were just basically brainstorming sessions. So we put our heads together and we think we have some pretty good ideas. So I'm not sure how this relates to the committee. This could be part of the committee that we already seem to probably be on anyway. So,
Or it could be a part of the staff report.
sorry?
Or that could be a part of the staff report.
Staff report?
So at a future meeting, so let's say you approved a committee, the visitor experience committee, or even if you don't, if you just say, we got 5 great docents, let them bring forward their proposal. Although, wait, since 2 of you are commissioners, I guess that's okay, because only 2 of you that would be fine. Those, whatever you came up with, would be part of a report in a subsequent meeting that we brought to the full commission, asking them to consider and possibly approve these, because I'm guessing that you're talking about some major changes, and that would be something that the full commission would need to approve. I think the full commission should approve.
I think a visitor experience commission would help communication between the docents and the commission altogether. And just for it.
Okay. Do you want to be on that committee?
I feel like I'm already on the committee,
Is there-
so yeah.
I was gonna add for the marketing committee, I almost want to say social media committee, just like an all around, any digital marketing, social media, all of that would probably be a better encompassing for the second committee.
Well, social media falls under marketing.
Okay.
Okay.
With regard to the committees, and what if there's more than 2 of us on that committee? How do we,
There can be a
sure we-
maximum of 3 commissioners. You can't have a quorum.
Okay.
So if for
But we're
example,
still
so
in
if
compliance
Tanya,
with the Brown Act?
what?
We'd be still in compliance with the Brown Act if we get to meet and get all this work done outside of these meetings?
If it's 3 or fewer, yes.
Okay.
Nobody's going to jail there.
Yeah. Just trying to stay in compliance.
Yeah, so I volunteered to be on the
Yeah,
visitor experience.
I volunteer as well for the visitor experience committee.
Okay. Anybody else want to be on that committee? Do we want to put Rob on it? Okay, is there a motion that we would have those 3 members of the commission be on that committee? You want to be on it? Tanya, you want to be on it?
I am on it.
Yeah.
Okay, Jackie, do you want to be on it?
Putting more time on that, so I'm not going to commit today.
Okay, All right, so Tanya, Xander, and Rob, is there a motion?
No motioned.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any members of the public
Who
want to
seconded?
address that motion?
Was it James?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Commissioners, Mr. Gary. I wanted to share with you my name's Rob Barocco, in case you don't know. I wanted to share with you our 2023 marketing goal. Surprisingly, you guys have actually met it. The first goal was to have the city fill the paid docent position. Thank you, Tanya, you made it happen. And so the museum could be opened consistently. We also had a goal of getting back to regular hours on the weekend. And again, you've exceeded that expectation. You've now had regular hours on 3 days. We wanted to have multiple events at the museum. Last year in 2023, you had 5, which is more than we've had in a long time. And the fourth goal was consistency in branding. And that's what brings me here today to you all. So at the September 21st, 2022 meeting, and this was a motion by Commissioner Cullen and seconded by Commissioner Warstadt, and was unanimously approved that the signage and the name of the museum was to be referred to the city council, that the name Redondo Beach Historical Museum be the official and only name of the museum, and to direct staff to research what would have happened to ensure this consistency. It carried unanimously. 18 months later, we're here again, and now I see it on the agenda as part of the background. I would like to know from Mr. Margolis, in the 18 months that you've had to implement this, what have you done to bring it to the council? What have you done to get the signage consistent? Now, last year, the early part of the year, Mr. Margolis told me that the official name of the museum is the Queen Anne Museum, and that's why nothing was going to go forward with it. So he would not present to the council, consistent with the request of this commission, to have it presented on our behalf. And to be specific, he was asked on April 19th, any updates on the naming of the historical museum? And you saw the signs that says Queen Anne Museum on it. If you go to some of the websites in the city, you will see that it's inconsistent there. But Mr. Margolis stated the official name of the museum is the Queen Anne Museum. He said that the Historic Preservation Commission would have to recommend changing it to the city council. So that's not a true statement. It's known as a historical museum as done, but it hasn't been presented to the council. So again, my concern is that you have a redundant thing on your agenda that makes it sound like nothing ever happened to actually move it forward. And I think that the result is nothing's ever happened by the staff to move it forward. So if you're going to be doing these things, and I do appreciate Tanya and Xander actually doing the stuff that you're doing at the museum, it's making it at least presentable. But 18 months later, we still have nothing that's done to get the signage consistent. So I hope that since your motion originally, Commissioner Cullen, that you actually make sure that the staff is accountable to get the things done that this commission has approved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now getting back to the committees, the visitor experience and the marketing committee, in terms of that visitor experience committee, is there anybody interested in being on that committee?
Yeah,
That's going to be you and
Xander.
Xander? Okay. And then in terms of the marketing committee,
Can you be on?
Excuse me for 1 second. I think you have a motion and a second on the floor for the Visitor Experience Committee.
the
Did you want
visitor,
to,
okay, so,
did you want to vote on that, or are you still discussing it?
well, I think,
Did we decide not to volunteer, Rob?
We can add people to the committee at future meetings, right?
Sure.
Okay, then I can motion that.
Well, no, you have, didn't I hear,
It's been motioned.
is it Eric?
motion
Eric
and a
made a
second.
motion and James seconded? Okay. So are you still discussing it, or did you move on to something else?
The marketing committee.
yeah, we were talking now about the marketing, but let's go ahead and just vote on the motion that's pending right now. Got a motion and a second.
And are there any more public comments on that one? Any Zoom or?
Yeah, there are no comments.
Comments? Okay, all right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, so ordered. Okay, and now, going back to marketing again, are there any commission members interested in that other than Tanya and Xander?
Yeah, I mean, again, I would be happy to be on this committee as well, since I've already been involved in that.
I'll volunteer to join that committee.
Okay, and James?
I might stay off is it okay if I stay off that committee for?
Sure.
I would I like to help at some point, but for now I want to focus on the visitor experience committee.
Okay,
I think that a part of that, of the marketing group, will be dealing a lot with the social media and things you've been working with on the Google end. So I think we may need your assistance.
yeah.
I think I understand that pretty much.
I mean, if I could help with the Google stuff, because I've been doing pretty well with that, I'll stay on the marketing committee then.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you don't have to be on a committee to offer staff assistance, so it's really up to you. Just,
I'll join the marketing committee.
Okay. All right. There's a motion and a second to include Tanya, Xander, and James on the marketing.
wait, was there a motion?
I thought there was a motion. Is there a motion now?
So motioned.
Okay, so motion by Mr. Fernandez. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Mr. Groban. All right. Any discussion by or any comments by members of the public? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing no opposition, so ordered. Okay. All right, now, moving on, Mr. Margolis, let's see. Anything else in the administrative report that you wanted to talk about?
Do you want to talk about the budget?
Mid-year budget, sure. I know that you had included in the blue folder items at least one photograph of the fountain we've been talking about now for the last couple of years. It sounded as if in prior meetings that the fountain that was at Heritage Court was something unique and something very historical to the park, but just going along on and looking on eBay and other websites, Etsy, and that same fountain is being offered for sale, either in Georgia or in Louisiana. You can get it a single tier. You can get it in 3-tier. You can even get it 5 tiers, and we could replace it. I mean, it's not as if we can't find it. We have found it on eBay and other websites.
Can I get it?
Similar fountain, not that one.
It's the Swan one.
There it is, right there. That's very similar to what was there. I think the one that we have a photograph of had, I think that was it. That was it. So it's out there. It's out there and it's available. Question is, do we want to make a request to staff to perhaps include that as part of the mid-year budget request? Have the city buy one or entertain the idea of having the council consider purchasing the fountain to put in the Heritage Court? It's just my idea. Anybody have any comments about that?
Yes. Instead of this coming out of our commission and our department, can this come out of the Parks Department? Heritage Court is a city park.
Well, the short answer to your question is yes. The longer answer is which path to success
Right.
is more likely, asking another department to add something to their budget? Or we wouldn't be asking council to force us to use money we already have to buy this. We're going to ask them to give us new money to buy it, right?
Right.
Right. So I'm not sure what the disadvantage of doing that would be, because they could say no to parks, they could say no to us.
Well, so Parks has a budget, with respect to the size of their budget, this is a minuscule fraction of how much money they spend on the upkeep of all city parks.
Oh, okay, well, you're asking for something different. You're asking, so how does that look in reality? Does the commission pass a motion requesting parks to use part of their budget to buy a fountain? Or are we asking city council to direct parks to use their budget to buy a fountain?
Would there be much, I don't think, would there be a problem with us requesting it under our budgets?
Because I mean, for us, this one item is our entire budget, I would assume, right?
We're requesting to add this onto our budget, not to use our budget for it, right?
Right.
So what is our current budget for the year?
What's the balance, Gary?
Well, I don't know what the balance is, but I think we had $40,000 for to buy all of our technology equipment and everything else that we've been doing.
Okay. I mean, so even in our budget, this, the larger one is $2,400. So I would think that within the commission budget, this is doable.
Yeah.
And I think if you start getting different commissions or departments involved, it's not going to happen. How long has this, fountain been gone? And it's, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Other things in Heritage Court, are getting repaired, they're getting improved. But this has just, been an empty pond that has not received the attention that people want it to receive. So I think it's just easier to directly, either
Okay,
Yeah,
do
I
the
would,
purchase or ask the council at the mid-year budget to award additional or,
I would,
additional money.
I mean, I think we will need to get Parks permission.
because I would request that we add this to our budget to purchase this, and then Parks would be responsible for the installation and maintenance of this once it goes forward.
Right.
Are we parks? Are we talking about public works or?
Well, Parks is under Public Works.
Okay. So who ultimately would be the person to direct this to? Would it be to Cameron Harding or would it be to,
Well, so if we said we have the money, we want to buy it, we just want permission to install it and we want somebody else to take care of it, right? Is that what we're talking about?
what's to take care of?
Oh, well, if it's going to be a working fountain, there's a lot to take care of.
Plumbing, electric.
If you just want it sitting there to be pretty, then there's less to take care of.
Be a part of the park's infrastructure. They have benches, they have the arbors.
I know, but look how they're taking care of those. I mean, you're complaining about the trellises and we had a lampshade fall off one of the lamps and in the windstorm, one of those huge. right, we
One
had-
of the globes?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
luckily they're plastic. Who knew?
Good to know.
I'm saying it's,
Yeah.
so make a motion to,
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
So as a commission, we don't have a budget. The Department of Cultural Affairs has a budget.
yeah, well, you have it, well, the community services has a budget.
Sorry,
You have the donation budget. That's about $3,000 right now.
The-
So the donations that come into the museum, that's the commission's, I mean, ultimately Cameron still has to, approve that, but that's more under the commission's prerogative to direct those funds.
So we're asking the Department of Community Services to purchase this, not the commission, or the commission itself.
That's correct, yeah.
All right.
We can do that.
Okay. All right.
But I'm just, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well, so it's hard for me to think.
Yeah, no, I'd just like to see it get done do any of the members of the commission have any preference over, what the look of the fountain is going to be? I mean, we can find on the internet one that looks exactly like what was there before, or like this, but they also have other similar ones from the same manufacturer that are, 4-tiered and 5-tiered, a little bit higher.
So may I suggest that you find one that you could actually get here first? Because one of the ones was in Georgia, I think this one's in Louisiana, and we'd have to add
Yeah.
shipping, that. So let's find one that's local and affordable first. And then the next step is, I mean, we really do have to have, in my opinion, the Historical Society also agree. Because what's going to happen is, once it goes to city council or any other commission, they're going to say, are all of the stakeholders who are using Heritage Court, in agreement that this is what they want there, right? And we say, no, we're ignoring the Historical Society. We decided this on our own. That's not going to fly, right? So we need to get all of the stakeholders in agreement that this is the fountain that they would like. And then once we have those two steps in place, we'll move forward with either purchasing it outright or working with Public Works to purchase it and maintain it. And then if you want it to be a working fountain, then it also means having a contractor with a fountain vendor.
Okay, so in terms of reaching out to the Historical Society, since it isn't a commission and doesn't meet, how do we do that?
Do we have a liaison?
Do we do it with staff? Do we do it
I think,
individually? Do we invite them? I mean, Christina's been here
I
before.
have their numbers. I can reach out to them
Okay.
and discuss it with them. I think that just the closest we can get to the existing photos we have of the previous fountain's the best option.
Yeah, that would be this one here.
I mean, why don't you, the next time you see them, why don't you show them the two that Commissioner Collin has found and say, is this the kind of fountain you'd like to
Yeah.
see? And if they say, oh yeah, you're on the right track, then
What's the height? Is there a height in there?
It should be in the description, 77 inches. Would it be too much to suggest a fountain committee?
yeah.
Would it be too much?
That's too much. Okay, so on page
I think the
13
Visitor Experience Committee can include that in there.
Well, you could have
yeah.
you could have a subcommittee.
Subcommittee.
Okay, so on page 13 of the blue folder item report, there's a picture of the fountain as it existed
Oh.
before it was missing. And that fountain looks like,
No,
oh,
that
Barry,
was
what
in
happened
the,
to?
that was in the admin report.
Okay,
Yeah,
there.
there.
All right, so on page 13, that fountain looks like what is here on eBay. So I don't know that there would be any objections to replacing or to purchasing something that is very similar, if not exactly the same.
I think, is the eBay one the one that's in like Georgia?
You're right, the tall one, the 5-tier is in Georgia. The smaller one is in Louisiana.
This
And-
one? The one that
Yes.
looks like this? Oh.
And I think if we.
No,
keep-
this is the one that's gone.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I meant one that looks like this.
Right.
That's the one in Louisiana. Road trip.
Or if we just keep looking on eBay, I can't imagine that somebody in California
I mean, I feel
doesn't have it.
Like, once we find a fountain contractor, we can ask them what their, who they work with and who they think would be the best
Well,
option.
we know a fountain contractor because we have one at the Performing Arts Center.
Okay.
Okay, I think it would be better to.
And he's already taken a look at the spot. I asked him to.
Oh, what'd he say?
Well, he has to,
Cheat.
he has to do more, they actually have to, look at the electrical lines and the water lines and stuff, but he thought it could be possible to make it functional again. based on what he was able to observe without tearing anything up.
Okay.
I think we should work through him before we road trip to Louisiana.
No, so it's doable, or someplace more local. Okay, so in terms of the fountain, are we going to do are we going to do a motion at all today, or just come back?
I think you should find the fountain you want, make
Okay.
sure that the Morel folks at the Historical Society like it, and then come back with it.
Would the
Okay.
fountain include the necessary pump equipment, or is that separate? Is that extra?
What?
Would the fountain have its own pump equipment, its own?
No,
That would be
that would be all
through
right.
the, that would be
that's-
through the contractor.
Right. Right. There might even be a pump inside the pond, but I'm sure that hasn't worked in years, so.
I
I
doubt.
can't imagine it would
It's gonna
be
need
too
some-
costly, just to replace it.
The
Do we know what
cost,
the additional cost would be of the contractor?
It depends on the,
I mean,
State of the
ballpark is,
I think he would have to do more research at the site to be able to give a good estimate.
I thought they did do that.
No, they didn't dig anything up to see whether things were
Oh,
actually.
they just did a sort of visual, okay.
Did he give you an estimate? Okay, well, we can do it.
I'm just, I would have no idea what in addition that cost. I mean, not
Right.
necessarily that that's a huge factor or could be, but.
Well, also
could do
find
it
out from
ourselves.
the Historical Society folk if
Yeah.
they would be okay with just having a fountain that didn't work.
Right.
Or if the only way they would
That's no
want a
fun.
fountain that, what?
That's no fun.
I would agree that you have a fountain, you want it to work like a fountain.
a better question maybe if they'll pay for half of it.
Right, ask them.
they don't have a budget.
What do you mean they don't? Well, they have to pay for insurance every year. So they have some money somewhere. Yeah, I don't know if they have events that generate, but they could hold a fundraiser. Right? You can ask. Just ask Christina nicely. Right? Because she was here, a couple of meetings ago talking about that, and maybe, honoring Tyke with the little
Right.
plaque, near the bowl itself. Okay, so in terms of any action, we're just gonna carry this over
Do
to
more
another.
research.
Yeah, do a
Continue
little bit
doing
of
the
research.
I think there needs to be something concrete to vote on next time. like
Yeah,
More,
yeah.
more solid action, and also with that, a plaque or dedication of some sort to Tyke as well.
Yeah, okay, all right. Any members of the public? Mr. Morocco?
Ron Marco, I think there's an initial fallacy that you're having, and that is the fountain that was there destroyed at all? It was there as late as April of 2021. Nobody scoured the yard to see if it's in there. I've asked the city manager to see what the story is on it. So your initial point about the fountain being there or not, since you're not going to take action, it makes sense to go find out if the fountain is there and if it's repairable. Christina has actually said that thinks that she can find some way to actually repair it if it need be. I agree that it shouldn't be the fountain that's in your front yard. I don't think that's an appropriate fountain. It's not an additional department you're asking for. Parks and Recs, historical, public arts are all part of community services. His boss
That's
is
not
Cameron
correct.
Hott. What?
Park and Recs isn't under community services.
Really? Since when? Since when?
Recreation is, not parks.
Parks and Recs. That's exactly
But
what
it's
it is.
split up in terms of
Public Works is a completely different department.
Public Works is
But Cameron
controlling.
Harding is the one who's in charge of that space, regardless of how you slice it. So
That's not
talking to
correct.
Cameron is probably a good first step also to figure out where it's coming from. I am actually surprised by this group that they don't even know how much money's in their account. There used to be a report, a regular report of how much is in your budget and what you've spent. You guys haven't even seen how much money you have. You two may have, I assume you're part of the discussion, but you don't know, you don't have a census report of how many people are going through the museum, but you want to do marketing on it, and you don't have the financial reports to know. So you may not even know. Last year, it turned out that we had a $10,000 budget. And we didn't spend any of it because we didn't know how much it was. And when we did get it, it was wrong. So look for the fountain. I think may find it in the yard. Since you're not going to take action today, have somebody go specifically to look for that fountain. And it may surprise you. It may save you a lot of money. It may just take a little bit of buffing to get it all in shape. But it was there on April of 2021.
Okay,
Sir?
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so maybe that'll be an additional thing, Xander, where you could go over to the yard and see if it's there. I recall that when Christina was here the last time, there was mention, or maybe it was at the last event, the holiday event, where comment was made that it was broken.
That's also the impression I got as
Yeah,
well.
that it was broken.
Everything I've heard has been that it's not feasible.
Yeah. Okay, so anyways, we don't need a motion right now, but in the interim, at least you kind of have an idea of what we would like you to do with the Historical Society, and maybe,
Do our due diligence to
Yeah.
confirm that it is broken.
Yeah,
Okay.
Very good.
okay, easy enough.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on now to, anything else, Mr. Margolis, on items for discussion prior to action? Well,
Well, there's a staff report.
yeah, okay,
Do you want to move on to that now?
yes.
Okay. So the only thing I really have in the staff report is that we received word that City Council wants the museum to be open for the 4th of July, which is a Thursday, from 10 a.m. to 2, and they're planning, various activities. So we also have, in April, the city's birthday coming up. So between now and the end of July, we have the birthday and the 4th of July. So perhaps the staff at the museum can come up with plans for both of those events and bring them back to you next month.
Okay. I just kind of assumed that was, what was going to take place anyway, since we've done it in the past.
Yeah, but I mean, they'll have, they've specific ideas for activities and
From
different
the
things.
council or?
No,
Yeah, okay.
And I don't know that you've specifically picked a date
No.
for the birthday. So I think it falls on a,
Well, April 29th is.
I think that's a Monday or a Tuesday. So do you want to do it the Saturday or Sunday before that?
Yeah, I think so.
Saturday.
The Saturday,
Saturday, we've been doing Saturdays.
yeah.
Okay, so then maybe you want to make a motion to ask staff, the docents, to come back with a report on those two events
Okay.
and approve that Saturday.
Well, are there any other events that maybe other members of the commission want to talk about or suggest?
Valentine's Day.
Oh, I don't know about that one yet, but as far as part of the revitalization of the museum with rotating exhibits that we are interested in doing, and we don't know what those are specifically yet. We just have been brainstorming those ideas. We also want to do maybe smaller pop-up exhibits within the museum that correlate with some events local to the area. For instance, Surf Fest is one of those. And so going off the top of my head, something like where, kids draw artwork of surfboards, or we have people donate surfboards, or we have different surfboards through history, kind of is an example of a smaller pop-up for specific events. So that's just something we're putting on the table.
Okay. I know we've done the Cesar Hernandez art exhibition the last couple of years. This year, or last year, we did the holiday event with the Historical Society, which was fun. We did Halloween, which was fun. I don't know, anybody have any objections to maybe having an Easter event there, or an Easter egg hunt kind of event there on the front lawn of the museum? Get word out, with kids have an Easter egg hunt for kids. They used to do it, city used to do it many, many years ago, decades ago. They would have an Easter egg hunt on the baseball field, and they would advertise it. And then that Saturday morning, they would have, certain groups of kids, age, like you would have kids 5 to 7 or, 7 to 10. You had different age groups that would go out first because all the big kids would, naturally grab everything that was there. I don't know if anybody's.
How about in the dog park?
Huh?
In the dog park?
Dog park, Dominguez Park. Like a couple.
The Easter egg hunt on the dog
I think more
park?
dogs would win that,
Not sure you
in
want
that
kids
game
picking
than
stuff up there.
kids.
No,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Funny.
I don't know. The last time I took my dog there, he got full of fleas. So I don't know, you want to put a
I think
bunch of
in,
toddlers
on
running
the
out there.
next agenda, as far as part of our brainstorming sessions, we can talk about all of the various events that we project throughout the
Yeah.
year as days that we would like to participate in.
Yeah. So on the next agenda, Gary, could you include an item there?
Okay, so you're supposed to make a motion. and-
Okay, well, is there a motion?
I make a motion that when we come to the next meeting, or that the events calendar be added and talked about. Is that the way I say it?
That-
At the next commission meeting.
Okay, is there a second to the
Second.
motion?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody in the audience have any comments? All right. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, so ordered. Okay. Anything else, Gary?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay. Let's see, member items and referral to staff. That's item K.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, Gary. There was an e-comment that was missed from H.
Sorry about that.
Would you like me to read it? It's from Commissioner Deckman.
Sure, go ahead. What commission is he or she with?
Parks and Rec.
Okay.
Okay.
She said, we have an open item to place signage regarding the history of Redondo Beach in Dominguez Park, but we have not heard anything from the Historical Commission on what is needed. We're going to close this topic on our site if this is not a priority anymore. Feel free to contact me with any questions. Thanks.
Could you repeat what was the motion that they have on their calendar?
Yeah.
That
Was that
was-
signage? Is that what they said?
could you read
Or
it
the-
again,
Or
Natalie?
changing the name?
Sure. I'm commissioner for the Rexham Park Commission. We have an open item to place signage regarding the history of Redondo Beach in Dominguez Park, but we have not heard anything from the Historical Commission.
That's the,
The path
that's
of,
the, not the path of history, but the, what's the,
That walking tour thing?
yeah, what's the name we gave it? The, so there was a, I don't know, maybe Mr. Marocco wants to speak to that.
You know anything about that, Mr. Morocco? I remember vaguely that we talked about it some time ago. I don't know that anything ever happened with it, but
Yeah, a lot of things happened with it, and you actually were involved in the process as well, because I think it was your motion as well. So this is actually up for the Slow Bureaucratic Process Award for 2023. In September 2022, a group that suggested to recommend to Parks and Recs that they put signage in there, walk along the walking path that dedicated certain markers to the history of different events in Redondo. And we left it to the Parks and Recs to figure out how many signs they want. We had money set aside for it at that point in time. So they took it up in, I believe, May. And then they said, let's send it back to historical so that they can figure out how many signs they want. And it's been sitting there now for 7 months without any action by staff with regard to putting it on your agenda. So as far as I can see, you guys have decided that it wasn't worth your time to do anything with. I do think it falls within your wheelhouse of things that can be produced relatively nicely. So that's kind of where it is. So Commissioner Dakeman is the liaison. You actually do have a liaison between historical and Parks and Recs, and he is the liaison this year.
Okay, so maybe Gary, on the next agenda, we put that up as an item for discussion.
Well, the staff at the museum will have to get in contact with them and find out what they want
Yeah.
to do or
Yeah, what
how
they're
to make
talking
that
about.
work. And if they're able to bring a report in time for the next meeting, we can do that.
So was there a report or there was no report?
There hasn't been a I mean, I don't know the right answer to that question.
Yeah, so talk about it, and then, maybe we put it on the next agenda to see if there's any interest in doing that, because I know that we're doing, plenty of other things, with the museum right now. I don't know that that's a
Oh.
priority.
Okay.
Do we need to ask the commissioner from the other group to keep it on their agenda? Was he asking a question?
I mean, do you,
Yeah.
if, in the worst,
It's not on their agenda. Ultimately, they made their decision to send it back to us. They're waiting to hear from historical what they want to do, but it's not on their agenda per
Okay,
se.
so we'll put it on the agenda, the next agenda, to see if there's any interest, by this commission
Sure.
to deal with that. I mean, with all the other things that we're dealing with right now.
is there a motion to do that?
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any objections? Okay, hearing none, so ordered. Okay. All right, anything else? Member items and referrals to staff? Anybody have anything for staff?
Are we ordering the plaque for Tyke or how does that work?
I think we have to probably get past the fountain being installed before we start talking about a plaque for him. Okay, all right, but do you have a motion that you want to make?
No.
James? Okay, all right. Anything by any other members to staff? Jackie, Tanya, Xander? Eric? Okay. All right, so is there a motion? This is item K, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any objections? So ordered. All right, so we're adjourned to February 21, 2024 at 7 PM. All right, thank you.